Welcome to Conversations with Educators, where we bring educators from across the country to talk about topics like college and career readiness, graduation tracking, teacher growth, assessment coordination, and more. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome to our webinar today. Conversations with Educators. We're talking about data hygiene for high stakes district work. So our agenda for today is our conversation is going to be going over improving data quality with your SIS, building a partnership with your student information system, and covering some best practices and tips from the field. We will have a chat feature where you can put your questions in, and we have some one monitoring that, and we can go over some of those questions live if we need to. I do want to introduce our guest speakers for today. We have a team from Keller ISD with us today. Marjorie Martinez is the Director of Assessment, Accountability, and Improvement for Keller ISD. We also have Heather Sims, who is the Coordinator of Assessment. Also joining us from Keller is Jennifer Cook. And then we also have a representative, Kathy Bailey, who is an integration engineer with Aries software. All right, so I will go ahead and get started with our first topic, strategies on improving your data quality.
Perfect. Are we ready to jump in?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. All right. Well, we are excited to be here. And I wanted to talk a little bit about just some of the strategies that we use in Keller to improve data quality. And what came to mind was the 3 Ps: prioritize, process, and partnership. One of the things, we are very, very process driven. We love to have a good process for everything so that we create that, and that creates a priority. One of the things that you may be going through that we went through is that our department over the last few years has gotten very, very small. We've been cut in half. It's mainly the full-time is Marjorie and I, and then Jennifer is a contractor who helps us with all of our processes. She was formerly the assistant director and is now remote with us. And so we are very thankful to have her help. But I wanted to talk about what we do when we prioritize is we look at creating that regular schedule, and we also communicate that schedule to our campuses, to our other district stakeholders, so that everybody knows when those loads are going to happen. And what I want to do today is talk about that process for those data loads, but I want to actually turn it over to Jennifer to talk about what her process is and what that looks like. So, Jennifer, take it away.
So as Heather was mentioning, we communicate regularly with our campuses, and one of the ways we do that is through our weekly newsletter. Within the newsletter is when we are able to notify them that data has been loaded into the various platforms. And it's so important that my checklist, the process that we've had in place is that as soon as we get a data file, it's loaded across all of our platforms, and we reconcile the data. We make sure it's matched correctly to the students so that there aren't any issues with bad data going in, so that we're generating bad data coming out. So that purpose of having that clean data hygiene piece is essential, because this is our hub for communicating through the campuses. These are the results we have. These are the groups of students that you need to start putting into your groups and testing for the various reasons. I have created, as Heather mentioned, the process where we actually document in a share log what files are being uploaded, who uploads them, the names and the links to the files, so that we can always go back and refer to them. And then we share out with our different contacts and users across the different platforms, so that they are also aware, hey, we've just loaded a new file. You need to use this for the programs that you utilize. As I get that file, I'll load it into Aries, if I'll reconcile and match the students that way, and then jump it into test town, make sure that the same students match in there. And if there's any discrepancies, make sure that I am looking it up across multiple platforms using safe and secure data to ensure that it is in fact attaching to the right student. So I really do think that the key is the consistency in the process and being timely and on schedule with them. I think, Heather, we were going to also discuss how to use it in other areas, correct?
Yes. And so that is one of the things Jennifer was saying, we really communicate so that at that point, then Marjorie will go and she goes into, our cabinet updates, and then we have administrator meetings. So we are constantly sharing, this is when things have been loaded, this is what you should see, and things like that. We also encourage our campuses and require them to they fully use Testtown for everything, including performance tracker. So, Marjorie, would you talk a little bit about how the high schools use Performance Tracker for EOC?
Sure. So, as Heather and Jenny were saying, having processes for all of these different key components throughout the testing cycle is critical, because then also as we're going through the testing cycle, if something were to happen, whether we are downsizing unexpectedly, which has happened over the last few years, or someone is just ill and has a family emergency, whatever, we can always go back to those processes and see kind of where each person was, see if something needs to be redone or done because perhaps it got skipped because of someone's absence. It makes it really nice because also, just say someone's out on vacation, just something good. You're not having to bother people. You're not having to track people down while they're trying to deal with something personal going on, or while they're enjoying vacation, trying to fix things for campuses. You're able to go and pinpoint exactly where in your process something might have happened. So when campuses are working in Testtown and they go in and they are making sure that they've accepted all their alerts, they've cleaned everything up, they're getting their kids into sessions, they're making sure that all their accommodations have been entered, they need a way to cross-check and make sure that what they have entered and what they've accounted for in Testtown matches what the SIS system is reading. And so what we have done is we've created, like Heather said, some various checklists. We feel like we have a checklist for everything. But one of the things that we have is they have to literally go and sit with someone and sign off and say, yes, my SPED kids are accounted for, my 504 kids are accounted for, my LEP students are accounted for, whatever the group, the population, my gen ed, whatever it is, my above grade grade level testers. And they can go into Aries, but they would be able to utilize any SIS. That's just the platform we use. They would go in and they would verify, does what we have in Testtown match what is in Aries? And that's kind of one of their pieces of cross-checking. And then that will basically, especially for exclusions, that will help guide the conversations around IGCs, who needs to retest definitively. You're not hopefully testing kids in December that are ineligible, either because it's too early or they have already passed and met their requirements. So what else on that, Heather, did you want me to share?
I think that's great. I think that's perfect. So the next thing, Lori, can we go to the next slide? So I think the next thing that we really focus on, you can tell just a lot from this beginning conversation, is building a successful partnership with your SIS system. And the first thing seems pretty basic, but it is so important, is learn the platform. When we first got Aries, I will tell you, queries were just the death of me. And now I love a good query because I can put exactly what I want in there, so it was utilizing queries. We created a query bank so that we would know, okay, if you need to know how many kids are in algebra at the middle school level, here's the query for that course number. If you need to know how many kids are 504 and EB at the same time, you can write a query for that same thing. And so that was one of the things that I would really encourage, is just actually learning the platform, or making sure that you are using the expertise of others when you are trying to learn that platform. The other thing is we collaborated, and I'm going to go just a little bit out of order here, but like, for instance, our 14-16 reports, we we worked with across the district to that is 1416 is something that I do in our department. And so when we loaded that information so that we could comply with House Bill 1416 in Texas for students who were not successful on the state assessment, then what we have to do is we have to be able to show a way of documenting that they received their tutorial hours. Well, so after we ran the information for the states, or for, I'm sorry, not for the states, for the campuses, then they had to go in and verify that information. But we were also able to work with our PEIMS department and work with Aries so that we were able to load a documentation system into Aries so that campuses could go in and put that information in there. And as Jenny mentioned, you want to make sure that you have that good data because then you can pull those reports. And so you're getting that good data out. You're putting the good data in and you're getting the good data out. So I want to also talk about because one of the things that Jennifer really talks through is she works in collaboration with Aries a lot. And I want her to talk about when she's using their ticket system and reconciling those files. So, Jenny, could you speak to that a little bit?
Well, of course. So Heather mentioned that she likes doing her query. Well, I think that's wonderful. I will put in a ticket. I will leave it to the experts, and I will, whether it is one of our technicians within our school district who also uses our SIS and can generate a report for me, which I do that quite often, or working directly with Aries. This morning I was uploading fresh data files from the December that had some of our rescore kids, and I put in a ticket with Aries already because there's a glitch in the import system right now, so it's not taking it. So rather than struggling with the process, I put the tickets in and ask the experts to double check whatever may be happening on their end with their coding. Same true with, just kind of spinning your wheels. We do it a lot with Test Hound as well, where if something doesn't seem to be working or jiving the way we expect it, we do reach out. Never be embarrassed that you're putting a ticket in because you can't figure it out, because that's what the ticket process is for. So I think it's really, really important, because not all times do the code writers even realize that there is a new data file layout, that a column has shifted, and that it's not reading it in December because it's already December, instead of waiting until the April files are coming out. So staying on top of it and doing the uploads in a very timely manner, again, helps not just your system, but all the other users as well. If you're not needing to put in a ticket, it's probably because someone already put in a ticket and it's been resolved for you. So never be embarrassed or think that that ticket system is not there for you. One of the other things that we do a lot is we pull those registration files and we use them that are generated either out of your SIS or out of Test Hound, because Test Hound has that feature as well. It just kind of depends on where you're using your data, what is the cleanest data, and making sure that when you are putting data in, that again, it is matching data, that you're using the right parameters when you are cleaning them. We actually had our internal technology team create a pull file for us prior to Aries being quite ready for it, so that we could have everything in the form and in the formatting and columns that we needed it, so that we could extract it today. And it's a by the minute upload straight into Cambium and into Tide, to make sure that our information was as clean as possible. We use Test Hound for interims. We use it for all of our testing cycles, so that the utilization of it, we don't wait until just the spring star state testing to utilize it. We use it year round. So having the quality data going in and matching effectively and efficiently is key for our district to run as smooth as it does.
Well said. Yeah. So we also work with, again, like I said, we're going to work across all of the district stakeholders as well. And so when we are talking about that, we are talking about, making sure that that they are using Aries for performance acknowledgments for graduation, multiple data files into Aries that our counseling department is going to use. And one of the things too, and I've mentioned this, but I want Marjorie to speak directly to this. One of the great things is the way that she worked with several different district stakeholders, getting that parent communication about state testing, about all of our testing that we do. So Marjorie, could you talk to how we use Aries for that and who you worked with?
Sure. So when parents are trying to access their student scores, they go to the state platform, and there are specific steps where they can go in if they happen to remember their student's access code. If they don't remember their student's access code, they have to enter key information, identifying factors. If you've been doing this for a long time, at one point it may have been a social security number, may have been a PINS number, state ID, date of birth, first name, last name. So wherever the system is now, that's what parents will have to go to and enter that key information. Now, a few years ago, what we worked with Aries on, as well as our other departments, technology, we worked with Aries, technology, and PEAMS to figure out if there would be a way to make it a little more streamlined for families when they log into Aries and they can see their student schedule, they can see their test history, whether it's local, national, state testing, they can see all that information. But if you aren't in education, even those of us who are in education, if you go and you look at your student's screen where it tells you all of their test scores, when you get to, for example, MAP, even PSAT, SAT scores, you have to understand what it is you're looking at. And when you're looking at a student's screen, all you see is a RIT score. You see math, reading, writing component of SAT, and it's just broken up into numbers, but it doesn't really tell you anything. And so what we were able to do is create a PDF document, kind of giving parents an explanation of what each assessment's purpose is and what the scores represent, whether it's a RIT score, it's in-class, Kinder Screener, TELPA, STAR Alt 2, STAR, EOC, and kind of some indicators of what the difference is. Anyway, we created something that was very, very specific for families. So they understand if I'm looking at my third grader STAR scores, how does that vary from looking at my junior's EOC scores? For one, if you say EOC, parents' very first question is that the same as STAR? So just the language and helping them understand what it is they're looking at. Created a Word document, worked with SIS, with Aries to see how we could have it housed to where when parents are accessing their student scores and then are taken to the state platform with using single sign-on, again, unless they go all the way and download the student report card, they don't really know what they're looking at. So in each student's profile, there's just a little PDF that they can click on, and it's 2-3 pages that outlines all of the assessments their students could be taking and what their scores mean. And so that took a lot of effort between like I said, our PEAMS department, making sure that everything was coded correctly and we weren't then messing something up in another end. And then with technology to make sure that we could get it all done while keeping the functionality of the single sign-on. And so that was huge. And being able to just seamlessly send out communication about results is great. That's another process that we have set up. Campuses in August can look at a calendar and say, okay, when do I have to have my cross checks in? When do I need to be looking at Aries? When do I need to be looking at Test Hound? They can kind of follow that pattern. And then they also will know, when will scores be in Aries? When will scores appear in all of our platforms? When will parents be able to access them on the state platform? When will they be able to access them in our SIS? And so again, that's probably a lot more information that you wanted, but basically it helps guide this campuses from the very beginning of the year all the way to the end to make sure that families know what they're looking at and when to log in and look at their student scores. So
perfect. Yes. Perfect. All right. Lori, would you pop on to the next one? All right. So, our advice to anyone getting started with this or anyone who's needing to tweak something, just some of the best practices is really determining the time frame and what is required. And that can be anything within, like both Marjorie and Jennifer were talking about. This is our process. We are very process driven and having that, who are we contacting, putting tickets in and the support. We love it when, we have that one person within the district that we can call and say, okay, I need help with this PEMS. I've got this question, have that contact person within those departments, but also utilizing all of those things in terms of the ticket systems with the different platforms. We love when we are on, a first name basis with support on one of our platforms. It's like, hey, this is Heather again from Keller. Oh, hey, and they know we're going to go through some things. So make sure that you are asking for that help when you need it and having someone walk through it with you, because what that means is that the next time that you're needing help, when you have walked through something, then they are very, very willing to help you. So that is something that we would really recommend. But again, determine that time frame and then start with one process. Maybe it is getting, like Marjorie mentioned, maybe it is getting that parent portal set up in your SIS so that you are streamlining, but then also having the explanation of what things mean. Or maybe it is getting a regular schedule, like Jennifer mentioned, of what are we going to load into which platforms at what time frame, how often do we need to do that? Because then it will make so much sense as you start, because then you can start building on something. We are currently, Marjorie mentioned earlier that we are currently using the high schools use the performance tracker in Test Town, and then they reconcile that with what's going on in Aries. So that is making things very, very streamlined for the campuses as well, which we all know needs, they're busy, they've got a lot going on. And so the more streamlined that communication, the better. So that being said, that would be our best advice for any best practices. Marjorie, Jennifer, do you guys have anything you would add to that?
I keep seeing in the chat people asking for the different processes and checklists that we have. And so what we'll do is we will put together kind of a shared Google folder with the different resources that we've mentioned, checklists, timeframes, calendars. I mean, I feel like we've got a calendar for everything. But we will definitely make those available. I guess Max or Lori will send them to you, and then you all can send them to the participants.
Be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think also, just to mention, like when we work with our different platforms, our department really is the custodian of the data. The data comes to us. We're the ones who keep it in our files, and then like I then notify our special ed director and say, hey, our data file is here. I'll let you know when the final's in, but you need this to add to your management system so that you guys can, in your SPED department, go ahead and start marking, which ones are going to be art accepted, and make sure that that gets aligned. Because again, that comes back into Test Town when they have to verify. Heather is really good about matching accommodations and making sure they are mapped correctly so that when they come out of those ARDs and 504 meetings, what they are actually saying gets translated correctly into the right accommodation box so that our test coordinators can then plan and implement them effectively. So being the custodian of the data, I think, is really critical, and making sure you know who's actually touching and has hands on your data to keep it clean.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Kathy Bailey. I'm an integration engineer with Aries Software. Before joining Aries, I spent several years working in a school district as the database administrator. And before that, in the medical software field, specializing in conversions and data integration. So because of those different environments where data has to be absolutely right, I definitely understand your pain points. For anyone who's not familiar, Aries is actually a comprehensive K-12 SIS system, and it handles everything from enrollment to attendance to grades, scheduling, and state reporting. And one thing I really appreciate about Aries, not only as a customer, but now as an employee, 80% of our staff actually comes from school districts in California and Texas. So we do understand a lot of what you're dealing with. So whether it's our first level support team or executive leadership team, we have your back. Because of that background, we've become pretty comfortable rolling up our sleeves, untangling these difficult data problems. We see it in one district, we know how to solve it in another district and have great suggestions. So we understand. But we really feel, as Jennifer mentioned, that strong SIS partnership, it really feels less like software support and more like adding another expert to your team, right? Because without the relationship, we're just a product. We try not to just fix the systems, but try to diagnose the root of the problem that's going on. And then we also have a lot of Good Morning Aries events, things to prepare our districts for seasonal deadlines like CalPADS or PEAMS. And we have specialists that are able to respond quickly and understand nuances of state reporting. So we really want to encourage you to support your integration so that you have that clean data and reducing duplicate data entry. And we're also have a specialized team that works with EdFi. They're dedicated to that so that it makes it just all about saving time, having accurate data, and saving those clicks. So we're really excited to work with our Texas districts as well as our California districts and appreciate our relationship with Keller ISD. We know that our partnership works best when we're constantly in conversation. So please reach out to your SIS. And on behalf of Aries, thank you for joining. Please stay in touch and let us know how we can help you to continue to keep your data clean. And feel free to scan that QR code for the link on the slide and connect with us, please. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, Kathy. And thank you, assessment team and data team from Keller ISD. Max, are there any questions that are in the chat that you want to discuss?
No, I think so. I think the biggest question Marjorie kind of hit on, people wanted the resources from Keller. So what we'll do is we'll kind of coordinate with them. So then afterwards, when we share out a copy of the recording, we'll work to share out a link so everybody has those resources. But I think that's the biggest question that everybody wanted.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Okay, well, here at Education Advanced, we were also all previous educators. And so we have a suite of products to also help you with your pain points. And so on the slide here, you can see we have a product called Evaluation for educators and principals. We have Test Hound, which helps make sure that every student gets the testing supports that they need. It helps the coordinators of the campus and district to make sure that that test goes smoothly and how it should for the student. And then we have Pathways, which is a great resource for counselors to keep students on track for graduation. It has tracking for all of the pieces of graduation tracking that have to happen for that student. So if you need anything from the Education Advanced side, please don't hesitate to reach out. We all have a ticketing system, a help tab. You can reach out to your CSM. We would be happy to help you with any of the products and get you going, anything that you need. Well, I guess then that will wrap up our conversation for today. Thank you all for joining us. And this recording will be sent to you shortly.
Well, afternoon.
Thanks for joining us. If you want to learn more about college and career readiness, graduation tracking, teacher growth, assessment coordination, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter. Until next time.